Good evening, good morning, good noon, all my friends, home and abroad and different parts of the world. Myself, Habibur Rahman. I am live with you on Community Talks YouTube channel, Community Talks BD Facebook page, and Community Social Work Network BD public group. I'm very delighted today, and before coming to the session, I'd like to convey my utmost gratitude to Almighty Creator, Allah, who has given me the opportunity to stay with you and just share with you global knowledge through this Community Talks platform. We are very delighted today. I am personally very excited and delighted just to invite this Community Talks Talk Series 1, the veteran professor from USA, Professor Dr. Brij Mohan. Professor Dr. Brij Mohan will be with us today based on few specific questions actually over his life that he contributed throughout his journey in America. So Professor Brij Mohan, I wholeheartedly welcome you to this show today, to this
Thank you, Dr.
exclusive interview.
The privilege is exclusively mine, and I want to thank you for this kind invite. And I hope we have a very constructive discourse this morning. Before you ask me a few things,
Thank you.
Sure, it's my pleasure. I want to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yesterday, there was an official announcement that 100,000 Americans fell prey to this ominous, deadly virus. 100,000.
Yeah.
But the problem is a lot more complex in the American context, if you see. You may have heard there is a peaceful social protest going on throughout the nation after yeah.
I'm just coming back to you just to listen American, but before that, I would be very happy and delighted if you just give me time to introduce you with my audience and
Please.
Around the world, right?
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. No problem. It's all right because this time it's my immense pleasure that you have really taken my invitation and with us today, the globally social work scholars, academician, researcher, youngsters will follow this exclusive interview through this Community Talk channel today. So, dear viewers, let me introduce the veteran professor, Professor Brij Mohan, with a few words. Actually, it's very tough for me to say about him in a few words. He is currently Emeritus Dean in Louisiana State University, USA. Professor Mohan is a professor of social work. He is renowned internationally. He is an author and intellectual with expertise in social philosophy, social welfare, public policy, international social development. Before joining University of Wisconsin in 1975, Dr. Mohan taught at Lucknow University, where he earned the first doctorate in social work in 1964 on a period of UGC Scholarship under the guidance of the legendary Dr. S. Zafar Hasan. Having published 25 books, and still he is actually working on so many other books on social work relevant disciplines and social work. And Professor Dr. Mohan has already published in different index renowned journal, blind peer review journal, over 400 articles, papers, and book reviews. Professor Mohan has established himself as one of the most authentic and creative intellectual in social work around the world. His most recent books include Development, Poverty of Culture and Social Policy, Palgrave, which was published in Palgrave 2011, Climate, Economy and Justice. The book published in 2015, The Future of Social Work, published in Sage 2018, and Social Policy on the Cusp, Values, Institutions and Change, published in Nova 2020. He has earned numerous honors and awards, including a D.Litt from M.K. Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith. He was recognized as a social work pioneer, which is actually highly remarkable in his personal life as a professor of social work. He was recognized by National Association of Social Workers NASW in 1995 as a pioneer. Early chapter of NASW honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1998. He is founding editor-in-chief of Scholars Publisher, Toronto, Canada, Environment and Social Psychology, and Journal of Comparative Social Welfare. His contribution to knowledge and practice are well renowned. NAPSWE, that is National Association of Professional Social Workers India, has conferred Lifetime Achievement Award during the 4th Indian Social Work Congress held in 2016 to Professor Mohan for addressing and strengthening social work education and practice at global level, being a social work professional of Indian origin. In 1997, the Louisiana State University Foundation endowed a prestigious eponymous Distinguished Professor Award in his honor. Actually, there are so many things, dear audience, dear friends and followers of this. That's why as a young social worker, I'm highly delighted and excited today to invite Professor Brij Mohan with us today. And Professor, again, I would like to convey my heartfelt of gratitude and sincerity to you. Just allow me to talk to you today the next 1 hour. I know you are very busy. So again, welcome you. Let's talk about the current scenario of America, because America, we know, during this COVID pandemic, COVID-19, hugely affected over the months, and more than 150,000 people died so far, we could see through the media, and huge number affected. So death toll might be increased gradually, which is a huge, massive attack and havoc for the whole nation of America and the whole world even. So could you please share something in a few words, how you are in America currently?
The situation here is a lot more complex than COVID-19 or coronavirus. We are we are we are in a very tragic and hopeless condition in the sense that there is a social unrest going on. Thankfully, it is mostly non-violent, and the 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 structure of inequality in the wake of this so-called black plague, as they call it, has created a time for both reflection and transformation action. And Dr. Rahman, I thank you very much for initiating this process so thoughtfully to reflect about the situation. We all know that this pandemic has bedeviled humanity, and the question soon will be asked, are we ready for the next one? The next one, God forbid, may be beyond our capacity to handle. About 1,000 Americans fell prey to this deadly catastrophe yesterday, and it is our existential dissonance and sheer self-destructive abeyance that is more worrisome to me. The saddest part of this monumental, to use Nietzsche's terminology, is we as a human species have failed our children and the hope for the future. And You may recall an
Yeah,
African American gentleman was murdered by police in a very brutal fashion. The same day in New York, Central Park, uh, a, a black man, a graduate from Harvard named Christian Copping, was traveling, and a, a white young lady asked him to leave that space because it was meant to be for bird watchers who are generally white people. And he said, "Ma'am, would you keep your dog under the leash?" And by he had hardly said this, and this young lady called the police. And because she says, "I'm threatened by this man." As Baldwin said long time back, uh, the easiest thing in America is to blame a black man or a colored man for any crime that you can think of. So, uh, on one hand, we have a natural disaster. On the other hand, we have a innate system of inequality and injustice, and on top of it, we have a social protest uh, against this oppression. So this is the context, and I will remiss if I don't mention that it's not the real America that you are hearing about. It is the sheer lack of leadership at different levels, and the politics of pandemic has simply aggravated the situation. This is my preface. I don't hear anything.
today, thank you for a nice introduction regarding a situation of COVID-19 in America. Prof, this is actually the title that me thought for this session is, as this is the first talk series of community talks, the title is Evolution of a Social Work Pioneer. Does Spake Brij Mohan. Actually, this is title made by me because I went to overall of your whole life is history and story over there. I thought it might be the best fit topic today. And after
Thank you.
all these things, I have just mixed some areas that definitely allowed me to ask you today. So the first thing that I love to know from you, Honorable Professor, you were perhaps the only leading social scientist in America who was educated in India. Give us some perspective on your foundational training over there. So how you could really proceed in America in such a legendary position?
Thank you, Dr. Rahman. It's a difficult question, but it's easy for me to answer because I lived through this process. Professional entrance here, that is in America, requires credentialization. People in medicine come from London, Moscow, and New Delhi, but they have to go a rigorous training here. Most social work educators who have come here and who have earned prominence had to get some American degree, most most likely a PhD from some university. Uh, I'm a product of Indo-American professionalism. My guru's guru, that is late Dr. Evelyn M. Burns, who is also called the mother of social policy at Columbia University, she was a great help
Yeah,
to me. When I left India on March 1st, 1975, uh, I had a PhD from Lucknow, and I didn't need another degree. And within a few weeks, I was able to get a job. I I had obtained the first PhD in 1964, and I'm told that that was the first PhD ever awarded to a social work professional in the non-Western world under Dr. Sayyid Zafar Hasan, which I'm very proud of and to whom I owe my career. I served the University of Wisconsin and then I moved to LSU. Uh, if you know about the geography of this country, Wisconsin is very, very cold. And I was coming from a tropical climate, and I found Louisiana very environmentally and culturally hospitable to me. So, of course, there have been ups and downs, but that's life. I have no regrets.
Thank you. Actually, it's a long way journey in social work that you extended over the time. So I'm very happy for that, because from India to America, it was really tough for you to keep your footprint over there. So may I know, Prof, in the US, what difficulties or challenges as an immigrant from a developing nation did you encounter in the beginning? Do they still exist in your professional and personal life over there to the extension of social work in America? Do you feel like so?
All emigres confront initial challenges, and I'm no exception. But I had more than my share. In
Yeah,
a few weeks after I arrived, Murray State University in Kentucky offered me a faculty position, and
yeah,
and I was waiting for my family to join. And before they could, one evening I received an ominous telephone call from the chairperson, and he tells me, "Our president did not approve your appointment, and that's it. No writing, no writing, nothing. And I have a letter of appointment." So I felt as if I fell from Empire State Building. But anyway, I found a job, another job, and I landed in Wisconsin. Uh, Many of those problems that I faced 25 years ago, they do still exist. There are exclusionary practices and behaviors in professional community that are hardly embedded in our culture uh, and which are mostly political rather than social. Aside from uh, aside from workplace toxicity, abstractly speaking, there is a resistance to an outsider. I'm an outsider. I've been a gypsy all my life. In simple words, it is white privilege, uh, like Brahmanism in India, that prevails here. Uh, eh, about 4 decades ago, I established a journal. I'm going to
mhm,
uh, 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 give you an anecdote, and that jour- uh, and that journal happened to be on international social work.
yeah,
Uh,
great.
this is the first volume I dedicated to Evelyn Burns, my guru's guru. And as soon as I started launching this, the International Association of School of Social Work and its leader, they started writing
Right.
letters against me. And the publisher that was, I think, Haworth, who was going to publish this, they reneged on their agreement, written agreement. Then I published it myself, and for 20
Right.
years with my own humble resources, without any, without much institutional support, I kept on publishing this journal. Now this is published by
Comparative social welfare. Right.
now this is published by Francis and Taylor, and so you see, this was a 30 years journey. It was so hard, and again, 5 years ago, I was asked to establish this journal, which I
Environment, social psychology. Yeah.
and 2 years later, uh, the publisher went greedy and they stopped supporting me. So I then they tried to drive me, and I resigned and I said, no, I'm not going to publish this. So this is this is a kind of resistance that you confront in front of certain vested interest, I would say.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, we the people do understand it's very difficult from the developing areas of the world. It's tough to establish in professional level legendary position. It's unimaginable really in a country like in America and Canada. So my next question, actually, I just made it in myself that how can I know many things. I have a curious mind to ask you so many questions,
Please.
and that I could read from your profile, from your bio. Actually, it's a long one, but I just track something from there. So, may I know the National Association of Social Worker (NASW) USA recognized you as a social work pioneer exactly 25 years before. What were the main contributions to the profession that really earned you such a prestigious, uncommandable, distinguished recognition in America? Actually, how can I know this,
Uh, uh,
honorable professor?
Thank you. That is a part of my whole professional achievement, and I'm very
Right,
humbled, and I'm grateful to Louisiana State University, which gave me the honor to serve the school. When I became dean in 1981, the same year I was also tenured and promoted to full professorship. And
right,
my dean, who had hired me, unfortunately he resigned, and the administration called me, and they asked me to accept the dean's position. And with great reluctance and honor, I did accept the position. And the vice chancellor asked me, "What are your priorities?" I said, "I have only three priorities, which will transform the School of Social Work from a vocational level to an to a real professional academic standard." And those three
great job.
and those three priorities are having a doctoral program, having a PhD program, having a doctoral program again and again. Well, people will not understand. At that time, a School of Social Work was not a part of the graduate school. By doing
Yeah,
so, I initiated a process that every faculty had to publish and commit to research, which was required to become a member of the graduate school, and that helped us to have a PhD program, which is flourishing now. And I think uh, I think that was the cornerstone how uh, I turned I transformed an institution from a possible from a possible extinction. The university administration recognized and rewarded me with a huge salary raise and a promise to board professorship. Board professorship is the highest honor that my university gives, but a dean cannot be promoted to a board professorship. And I said, if you are willing to appoint me board professor, I would resign from deanship tomorrow. And exactly within
right.
48 hours, I resigned with a written promissory note that within 2 years I will be promoted to board professor. But my successor, whom I had hired, he sabotaged it. It's profession politics. I guess
Right.
it's an old story. I don't want to live through the trauma. Uh, I think deification and demonization are part of the same equation. I devoted myself to teaching and research completely, and uh, uh, NESW later on, about 7 or 8 years later, honored me as a social work pioneer. And abstractly, I basically became a victim of my own success. I sometimes say rhetorically, uh, the, the duality of my failure and success is very
Yeah,
interesting.
great, great. It was really tough time actually to take decision in that position that you did really with this university. So after all this thing, it surprises us that in your whole journey, more than 400 articles in different journal, you authored many books on social work, social policies, climate change, culture, and so many other areas relevant to social work. And not only that, still you are doing a lot really for social work, and you are the executive editor and the guardians of writing over the years, more than 2 3 decades in few journals. So my actually next question, I'm very curious about this. In Bangladesh, in India, and other parts of Asia, social work as we teach here, likely in Bangladesh and India, is largely modeled after the American pattern. What is your opinion about indigenization? Is that a plausible alternative or just a fad? Because we have the young generations, we have so many questions that the problems, the nature of the problems, where the solutions and techniques and methods might not be applicable, that is applicable in America, not America, and their pattern, because people's lifestyle, social construction, and context of problem here in India and Bangladesh and other parts of the world, those who are in developing nature, it's not same. So how could you kindly explain us this thing, how we could follow this American pattern?
Dr. Rahman, you know well that modern social work and its professionalization is
Yeah,
due to American pragmatism and ingenuity. Uh, Indigenization, in my view, is a constructive adaptation to national conditions without compromising basic values of the profession. It would be quite appropriate in Bangladesh or in India or in Nepal to adapt to certain cultural sensibilities,
right.
uh, which will make your role and task more acceptable to the target groups. In Bangladesh, I believe you have parliamentary democracy, and it has played a unique role in liberalizing the nation be- before it was colonized by West Pakistan. And so, if you indigenize in tune with the finest Bengali culture, I think that's okay. But uh, I think you may ask a, an additional question, and that would be something about which is being talked in India in a different way. So I will let you move on.
Yeah, thank you. And there is so many actually debate on social work expansion in Asia and America, and there is a common debate. We actually in my early age, before few years, and still we are just watching some kind of debate, listening some kind of debate. That's there is a movement calling for Indianization or Bharatiyakarana of social work in India. Knowing the two systems so well, how do you envision the reality of this kind of indigenization of social work? Actually, this is another question, curiosity that you can
Right.
explain also.
There is a tribal ethnic color given to the profession in the name of Bharatiyakarana or Indianization. There, there is an organization in India somewhere I don't know, and one morning their spokesperson uh, almost ambushed me with a battery of questions, and his first question was, "We are Hindus. why can't we Hinduize the profession? And I said that will be the end of the profession. Our profession is a secular, democratic process to humanize social institutions and solve problems. Uh, so this nationalist populist direction at the expense of marginalized populations is a smoke screen. It's a cover for some other nefarious programs. A reactionary spokesman, uh, whom I referred to uh, a few seconds before, wants Hinduization. I'm opposed to that. And I give you my sound and very principled argument. Uh, if a counterpart of this movement occurs in Bangladesh or Pakistan, that will simply balkanize the profession. Uh, uh, I
Right.
I've been talking about several things, and one of the unifying themes of varied theoretical interlocking approaches that I'm trying to develop. Uh, I, uh, I use the word unification of social work. Unification doesn't mean that one model will be imposed on the diverse world. It simply means uh, a common ground based on knowledge, based on ethics, based on certain principles, which can be applied universally to solve complicated, diverse problems in different ways, which is very dynamic, which is open, and which is very helpful to me.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I have few more queries and questions to ask you. And before coming to that, actually, Honorable Professor, let me share my views, my little knowledge on that. Actually, during this, I mean, at the beginning of COVID-19, when started from Wuhan province of China, and after that, gradually, it extended over the, countries of the world. So for almost all the countries, we can say, and Bangladesh got affected 8th of March, having the first case positive by COVID-19. And after that, after end of March, so far I could recall in April, I thought I should have that platform, but as a social worker, definitely as a man, I have something to do for the community, for the people, for our neighbors, my students, community people, countrymen, overall all the people. So as a social worker, what should I do? What can I do? I would start thinking, and I thought, as it's announced even by IFSW, IASSW, all other organizations of the world, like social work, legendary organizations, leading organizations, they were mentioning, keep social solidarity, physical distancing. Then I stopped walking out of my home with the poor people, needy people, providing them some food, some rice, potatoes, like some other thing, salines, medicine, so many other things. We started doing with my few friends and other organizations. But when it was announced that we should keep physical distancing must mandatory, then we stopped going out. And I thought I should create a platform when I can at least invite honorable professors, scholars, academicians, mostly close to social work functions and academics. And of course, I can invite some policymakers sometime, community leaders from all walks of life, all areas, so that they can put their knowledge together, and I can assume this knowledge in this platform for the long years next by my life. People can watch this, right? People can watch this video, they can get some knowledge, they can like know about you, because before that I was not actually known to you few years back, few months back. But like this, many people, many Indians, many Bangladeshi people actually were looking for academicians, looking for to be introduced with academic scholar like you. It's an opportunity for us. So I just started hosting this platform, and this is, you will be happy to know that over these 2 months, I have hosted live program 20 episode already gone, except this. And I'm very happy. I'm just launching this talk series, one with your presence. Actually, it delights me a lot.
Yeah, it is my honor, and I'm very flattered and I'm very grateful to you.
Thank you, and thank you. And I have a hope to continue this up to the limits, up to the limit in the sky. Okay, I will.
The
If
limit.
if I will be okay, then I will continue just to make a platform for the global social worker. Really, people can have some knowledge.
I'm so
Share
proud
it.
of your work.
Thank you, Prof. And actually, me and my colleagues, my IT support team, all are, and of course, the people of social work who will watch this video, because I'm recording this in YouTube, and YouTube, many people cannot connect immediate, but after this, when we'll share it in Facebook, so many people will join, and of course they will watch this. And till now, few of our friends joined already and greeted us, but thing is, in my mobile phone, in Messenger, Facebook, there are many comments. They cannot join in YouTube. That is the problem. They're asking me what happens. But this is being recorded in YouTube. I will just, after this immediate, I will send it and post it in Facebook, so many friends can actually see. Because as I fixed that I will ask you a few questions, it's not the proper time to take many questions from the audience, then I might be detract. I have a vision to know from you, really, that might be helpful for other people also.
Please.
uh, uh, Here is Hussein Ahmed say, hello sir, take my salam. Dr. Atul Pratap Singh from India. Hello, Brij sir. Good to see you here. Regards.
Hi, Atul.
Alamin wrote, good evening, sir. Dr. Singh wrote, those who have already been experiencing color, racial, caste, or religion-based social distancing, this COVID-19 is very hard to them. In fact, this pandemic has added much quantum to it. Great, sir. Very well said. Dr. Singh again wrote, heartiest congratulations to your journal. Prashant Chawan, namaskar, Prof. Brij sir from India. Actually, Prashant Chawan greeted you. Hussain said, hello, sir. How are you? Jaima wrote, hi, sir. Dr. Singh, sir, professional social workers proclaim their role as advocates and facilitators for a more socially just world. What specific suggestions would you like to offer? He actually he raised a question. Professional social workers proclaim their roles as an advocates and facilitators for a more socially just world. What specific suggestions would you like to offer? Actually, you can also proceed, but I have a few more questions to ask you, really.
Please go ahead.
Okay, lastly, we can take this. That would be nice, I think.
Yeah, I will address Atul's question about social justice later on.
That's great, sir. So just I will be privileged if you kindly say, so far I could come to know and actually read overall your journey. So far, actually my knowledge goes. I try to read out. You specialized in psychiatric social work in the early 60s. You have earned many enviable epitaphs for your outstanding work in social work. Perhaps Father of Indian Social Psychiatry describes the best of your contributions. Could you please share with us how this trajectory from psychiatric social work to social philosophy evolved? Really, this is a question.
This is basically my evolution from mental health towards social justice, and I
Right.
don't see any dichotomy. It's a process. For my doctoral dissertation, I visited three big mental hospitals in Uttar Pradesh. They're
Mhm.
in Bareilly, Agra, and Varanasi. And it was just not a 5-minute questionnaire, yes and no. I
Right.
studied 200 places. And the, uh, after I finished my dissertation and started looking at other social problems, like at that time we called them Harijans, then Dalits, then lower caste, scheduled caste people. And I was so disgusted with this, with the tyranny of the upper caste people, that I started talking about social justice. And uh, yeah, people now say that I'm no more a social worker; I'm a social philosopher, and I take this as a compliment. When I joined
Mhm.
SSU, uh, I specialize in mental health, but mental health here is a kind of closed cult, and they told me, "How can you teach mental health? You don't know my culture." I replied, I said I was taught mental health by a by Erna Hawk, who came from Switzerland to Lucknow, and who was running uh, at that time the country's most successful mental health clinic, which is called Nur Manzil. So um, they asked me to teach social policy, and since I was a student of Dr. Hassan, I had no problem in social policy, and I became a social policy expert. Uh, Even at undergraduate, as an undergraduate student, I was keenly interested in Camus, Sartre, and other literary icons, and their genius really imparted me a, 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 a sort of creative bias against mm, imperial colonial brutality, and that helped me to find a mission, and that is the application of knowledge to achieve social justice. I recently debuted as a novelist, and my novel's name is Death of an Elephant. And a critic commented that this novel is modeled after Nausea. Nausea was one of my favorite novels written by Jean-Paul Sartre, and
Right.
I find that very uh, fortunate, in fact, very encouraging that I have been touched not only by social scientists but some people who have contributed to 21st century and 20th century knowledge. And my a, a, a a part of my consciousness is a little saddening because uh, I don't find many social work students and faculty, especially, very competent or even interested in understanding why and how social theory and philosophy is important to understand the dynamics of social problems.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, many questions come when I love to ask you, but I pre-decided that our time is limited today. This is just 60 minutes talk. So again, I have a question. What are the main influences on your personality, career, and philosophy? Could you briefly summarize these
Of course.
elements? Because, yeah, there is a question, Prof. There is a question.
Uh,
Jaima asked, I want to know what life means to you and what love means to you. That is actually philosophical questions. You can add this and some summary because we have 16 minutes more.
okay. Let me answer your question. Of course, some influences on my intellectual professional developments have been philosophical. And people may and may not know, but the greatest influence on my personality, on my philosophy, has
Yeah,
been of someone who was illiterate, and his name is Kabir.
Kabir, yeah.
And uh, I was born and raised in a very traditional Brahmin family, but having read Kabir, I didn't find much essence in organized religion. And many people, sometimes negatively, sometimes uh, irresponsibly, call me an atheist, anti God. It's not that. I simply believe in the ethics of behavior rather than the religion of behavior. So you understand, my earliest influence, as I grew, came from Gandhi, Karl Marx, Friedrich Nietzsche,
Hmm.
like Rousseau, Camus, among others. Personality is a gestalt and it's a dynamic process. I was a romantic idiot in 50s, and I thought I would change the world. Regretfully, I couldn't do that. I was also a budding poet, but I did not pursue my career as a poet. But I have been very influenced by the poetry of Ghalib, Sahir Ludhianvi, Nirala, Pant, uh, and Majaz Ghaznavi. My career is a product of circumstances. You can see, I was a very skilled and successful stage actor, and but my father was obsessed to see me as an IAS officer. I defied everything to help my father accomplish his goal. So,
Right.
when I went to Lucknow, I was awarded a University Grant Commission's fellowship, and within 3 years, I finished my PhD, and the University of Lucknow gave me the professorial lectureship, and I forgot about IES. And to date, I'm a campus man. I can count days when I've left campus. So I'm very proud to be what I am and what this profession has been. And I have used uh, the constructive power of pedagogy as a mechanism, as a source of social transformation. And many students tell me uh, uh, that I was instrumental in helping them solve some very critical issues of their lives. So this gives me
Right.
satisfaction.
Yeah. But so far, I could read and assume that knowledge from your the title of the books, more books, that none of the books or theoretical stands includes a typical social work resources. Why, Professor? Could you please explain shortly?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Original authors who professionalized social work, like Mary Richmond, from Mary Richmond to Gordon Hamilton, from Evelyn Burns to Scott Breyer, they were all part of my education. I still quote them. From in India, Dr. Wadia A.R. Desai, who was sociologist, and Professor R.K. Mukherjee, who was my teacher's teacher. They were all inspirations to me, and I was required to read their work. Now I don't find much original thought, let alone thinkers. People simply recycle others' contribution, sometimes even without acknowledgement. And a new textbook culture has emerged, which is basically a profit making business recycling old knowledge and facts at the expense of the students. By the way, on the record, I I have never written a so-called textbook, and some of the books which I used in my courses, uh, I never asked my students in writing to purchase my books. And what I would do, I would compile 100 articles from different sources and have them cyclo-styled or Xeroxed and distribute free of charge to the students, sometimes through Kinko, which was a very minor expense, but and that saved the students buying those fancy, expensive books, which I think no one should read.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's true, really true. You just wrote fantastic books for social work students. That's not like a book, ordinary book. That's a notebook like something. And you have already published, and some are on process. 20 out of 25 books published so far, which one is your most favorite and why? Could you please share some perspective on your favorite publications, if any, there?
Uh, uh, I I published a trilogy that which includes three books.
Mm-hmm.
In 1992, 1993, 3, and 1996. This
Okay.
book, on the basis of this trilogy, finally I published a book in 1999. This is what I call unification of social work
Mm-hmm.
in social transformation. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah, right.
this is the most crucial book uh, I think I've written. Not to mention my latest book, and my publisher tells me the other day I was talking to Mr. Mehra, and he told me I'm becoming a kind of cult in India because this book has so many followers uh, on the subcontinent. So basically, uh, it is a continuation of the same trajectory, and it gives me tremendous honor and satisfaction that my writings have not been uh, a waste.
Yeah,
As I said, I've never published a textbook, and uh, uh, in fact, my publisher gave me an offer to write a textbook, and I respectfully declined.
great.
And currently, I'm writing only two books. The one is Redesigning Society, and basically, this means that the social contract which constituted, which glued together the diverse sections, that social contract has broken. There is no social contract. In a socially distant world, in a globalized world, where I don't know my neighbors, and I have lived here for 45 years. In Lucknow, when I was living there 45 years ago, some of my neighbors were so hostile to me. They wanted my apartment uh, because I did not own that property. So I don't think we are headed towards a very cohesive society until unless we understand the dynamics and do something about destroying these engines of inequality and justice. And my penultimate book is my academic memoir, which I have tentatively titled Kafka's Cave, an academic memoir. And
Right, right.
beyond this, I turn 80 years, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I write small pieces, columns, letters, articles. I'm busy, but I don't have a very big plan to write too many books anymore.
Great, thank you, thank you. And there are a few more greetings they wrote. So, and the summary, the question that you love to answer later on, last part that Professor Dr. Atul Pratap Singh mentioned. What specific suggestions would you like to offer for role of social worker as advocates and facilitators? And after that, Jarma, good morning, sir, wrote NVT. Ashwathi wrote, this talk series is definitely going to benefit us, of course. Of course, NVT, thank you for joining us. And definitely, I have a master plan for this just to contribute for social work. And I don't know what will be happening. It might be meaningful or not. If people watch this, that might be great, really. The Alamin wrote, everything is fine. Government is doing a lot for us, but middle class families and small businessmen like us are having financial problems. They are facing financial problems as well as emotional. Jama wrote, Brij Mohan sir, I think you will answer. I think You will answer my question, that is, what is life actually according to you? That was his question. Sabon Ostru, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Dr. Shakti Prabha from India wrote, actually greeted you, and May Alamin greeted us. Khurshida Jahan. Hi, Brij Mohan, sir. Anviti Ashwati, I agree with your answer, sir. Khurshida Jahan wrote, if you share a little, what are the responsibilities of a social worker as you? If there are any qualities, he can be called a social worker. This is actually a good question also. To become a good social worker, what do you think should be the qualities? And Hussain Ahmed wrote, hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Brij Mohan, sir. Good evening from Bangladesh. Again, he asked a question, how professional social work may be developed in Bangladesh. From Bangladesh, he raised this question, how professional social work may be developed here. And another is the attributes to become a good social worker according to you. And you may put light on, according to you, what is life? Though this is a philosophical question, really. And after, yeah.
The question is so inspiring that I can speak hours. But if I may be allowed, as I said, I've been very interested in poetry. I will quote फिराक जिंदगी क्या है ए दोस्त सोच लें और उदास हो जाएं. This is my personal perspective. I see life as an opportunity, as a responsibility, worthy of what we are. And we should take our life seriously because it is. It may be a pure biological accident that we were born humans in certain special temporal situation. But I believe human beings, if they behave, they can solve too many problems before they become social problems. So a life without responsibility, love, and consideration is not a worth living life.
Right. The definition of life is differing everywhere from person to person,
Yes, sir.
situation to situation, nature also. This is very natural. And another question was how professional social work may be developed in Bangladesh. And there is rules involved, policy involved. So what you suggest us to do to bring social work?
Dr. Rahman, you are an expert, and I would try to learn from you what you do. But I could, since you have asked me, uh, this is a new book by Thomas Piketty.
Mhm.
My daughter keeps on sending me books I should read. Capital and Ideology, and I've been reading this book. You can see my notes and comments. I I'm bringing this into discussion that what Piketty is saying. In fact, he has said so many things which I've been writing about for the last 50 plus years. Uh, the engine of inequality and injustice, they breed misery, suffering. In other words, if we do not solve poverty and inequality through a non-violent, rational, legislative process, even if it demands protest, like we are
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
protest against racism. So until and unless people are aware and take their human condition in their own hands to reform the corrupt political system, I don't think we can solve poverty.
Yeah,
Poverty,
yeah.
poverty and equality, they are systemic problems. Many once I wrote and people simply laughed at me. I told people uh, poverty is not an Poverty is not an economic problem. It is a political problem. It's an ideological problem. We have inbuilt in our DNA, it has been inbuilt that if I'm a Shudra or Dalit, I'm bound to do dirty work which no one else would do. And
It's true, true,
so the same thing.
true.
And
So,
these are all social constructs. These are all lousy learned behaviors. And basic theory of psychology is what is learned can be unlearned. So here is the role of social work education to teach people to become what they are capable of.
great, great, great answer. Professor, just one thing that Dr. Atul Pratap Singh
Ah,
asked,
ah,
social worker role proclaim, I mean, social workers
I
proclaim
noted
their
that.
role as advocates and facilitator
I,
for a
I,
more socially just world. So what specific suggestion would you like to offer for this advocates role and facilitators role,
yes.
right?
Uh, they, now I'm not teaching. I'm retired. I've become a whole time writer. Whenever I went to my class, especially
Right.
at the outset of the semester, I used to ask the students, "Hmm, what is the reason you are coming to this school to become a social worker? If you want to make money and become rich, then you should go to other school and become a real estate agent or become a financer in management or something. Social work will not provide you uh, unprincipled wealth. My assumption is uh, if you want to be a social worker, believe what you believe in. No one is forcing you to become a social worker. Social Being a social worker is uh, can be a very painful kind of. Don't take me literally. It is metaphorical. It's a kind of self-execution. Uh, uh, but uh, as Herbert Marcuse said once, you are free even in the hands of an executioner. What I'm trying to convey is our conditions, our surroundings may be oppressive, but we can authenticate, assert our freedom, and achieve it uh, through different small things which otherwise don't matter materially, and they enhance freedom. And I think social work's main role and task is to humanize an oppressive system to achieve a measure of freedom which is necessary to maintain your dignity and respect others' dignity. And that should be our mission.
Perfect, perfect, Professor. These are all right. So that would be my last question. As I promised you, promised myself and audience that session will be just 60 minutes talk. But as this is the first day and we are having you, it's an opportunity. So I just beg your pardon to extend another 7 minutes. So time will be extended up to 7 minutes. I mean 70-minute session.
Okay.
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 And the last question, actually, this is also my question with some audience and friends in Bangladesh and India. We are fighting, and from your ages, from your teachers' ages, we are fighting to bring social work in light as a profession in must level, in policy level, both way. So the social worker can work a lot, can work beside the government, can work beside other organizations everywhere. Social work can worker can keep their footprint. So my last question is: social and economic conditions in South Asia are almost similar. What advice do you offer to our country, in particular Bangladesh, to promote social work as a profession? Because social work has been taught from a 60th decades over 70 close 80 years gone. So social work association is not functional is seen here. It's not actually well connected. Academically, it's sound enough, but in practice, social work actually is signified for its practice nature, whether academic. Both are very important, but practice brings it light really in human civilization, human community. So, how would you love to face this question? How social work in Bangladesh and even in India can be more professionalized and promote as a profession?
The whole South Asia, which mainly includes India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, even Nepal, Bhutan, etc. It requires a renaissance, a liberation of thought at the expense of old habits of thinking, old habits of action. We have poverty, obscene inequality, and unfathomable public corruption. Politics has become a profession to make money, to screw people, to public policies, and become overnight powerful and rich.
Yeah.
Uh, that is a big hindrance to whatever you and I may try in earnest to achieve. Social work emphasis must be on public and social welfare policies that strengthen social institutions and bridge BRIDG ugly social distances, caste, religion, economy, politics have divided the whole subcontinent in a dysfunctionally post-colonial structure. Populist, populist nationalism will further divide our peoples who share a common history and culture despite our diversity. Diversity should be our strength. It should not be our weakness. Uh, I'm absolutely certain, and don't get me wrong, that casework, group work, community organization, the way we are teaching out of the obsolete, dated textbooks is not going to wipe out public corruption or strengthen social institutions because the model that we are mimicking,
Right. So,
that
Prof,
model, uh,
may I add a point on this? In America, so far I could hear in even in Canada, in like country Philippines, UK, even in Australia, Singapore, the trend is, and South Korea, Japan. Social worker are licensed. Actually, they have the license. They have a certificate. They have a pass like this. They can have chamber. They can have another. So actually, could you please share something how we could introduce this in India and Bangladesh? Actually,
first,
this is my last question. Yeah.
first, I don't think licensing the way it is promulgated and developed in US should be a model. Do you know, I I resigned in protest rather than go and apply for a license because I do not want to clientize the people who are the victims of oppression. And uh, uh, and in a very principled way, I said, I'm not going to take this license. I
Okay.
refuse that license. So if you want to go to a psychiatrist office and help him as a psychiatric social worker or mental health worker, go ahead and take a license. But if you have to make a policy change and change the whole rotten political system, I don't think you need a license. You need education. You need experience. You need guidance. You need
Right.
institution. You need leaders. So I'm my my short answer to your question, overall question could be, as a transformational profession, we must rise to the occasion which calls for an ideological change, behaviorally and institutionally. And I have great hope in the younger generation, and on record, I'm very disappointed with my generation.
Okay. Actually, 70 minutes has gone. Professor, again, I would love to convey my heartfelt gratitude to you, sincere regard to you, my honor and respect to you to be with me over last 70 minutes. And if the session actually held through Facebook, so many people could connect, but I didn't do because in Facebook, actually preserved in YouTube, it's tough and the video shape will not be okay. That's why this video I will keep it in YouTube. Already checked in YouTube. I'll share it to Facebook so many other friends and scholars around the world could be connected later on. They could see it, comment it. They could learn from you, and you lecture many things. Actually,
Dr.
emergence of
Ahmed,
you
thank
and
you very much.
social
And
work.
please convey my deepest regards and gratitude for the learned audience.
Thank you.
It's my
And
honor.
dear friends, followers, those who are watching this and will be watching, on behalf of Professor Dr. Brij Mohan, the veteran professor of social work, the pioneer of social work in America, and on behalf of me, on behalf of Community Talks YouTube channel, our sincere regards and respect, love for you, and affection for you. Be connected with this and share your knowledge and accept knowledge from different corners of the world. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot. And thank you, Professor. Thanks a lot. Good morning again.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all. Thank you
Bye.
very much. Be
Bye.
well.